Hello everyone, my name is Julie and I'm back with another video. This is a September reading wrap up. So to start off with stats, let me get my handy dandy notebook. I read 11 total books. I read 2 thrillers, 2 fantasy, 2 horror, 1 mystery, 3 romance, and 1 classic. So a pretty decent month. I read a lot of decent books and a couple not so decent, but I'm excited to share with you. So the first book I read this month was One of Us Knows by Alyssa Cole. And this was a thriller following our main character Ken, who has dissociative identity disorder. The book starts with her fronting for the first time in 6 years. She doesn't know where she is. She's on a dock to an unknown destination. She finds out that her alter, Della, got her a position as a caretaker for a historic home on a eerie island, and pretty quickly she realizes things are amiss. Things are not quite right. A lot of this book felt unrealistic to me, which of course I'm willing to suspend my disbelief for a fiction novel, but it took place during COVID. You're taking a real life situation and bringing it into the book makes it feel like it's supposed to be happening in this world, and it really didn't. Not to mention the fact that I hate when media brings in COVID. Like, I just feel like it's way too soon, and I don't know if it'll ever not be too soon. It's just very cringy. Some of my favorite shows, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Superstore, when they had COVID seasons, as I call them, it was an instant no for me. I gave this book a 3 stars. It was a decent thriller, but like, I don't think it was anything special, and also the COVID thing kind of made me feel a little meh on it. The next book I read was Air by Sabaa Tahir. This was the first book in the Air duology. I read this as an advanced reader copy. It's actually now published though, so you could go read it yourself. It takes place in the Ember and the Ashes world. I did not read those books, but I was able to read this just fine. I think a lot of reviewers said you should read them before, but you don't have to. This is a really high fantasy novel following 3 different main characters. Quill, who is a prince, Eyes, who is an orphan, and Saoirse, who is an outcast and a tracker trying to find this killer. Usually high fantasy scares me, especially since I was supposed to have this prior knowledge that I didn't, but I read this and I really enjoyed it. I gave this 5 stars. Coming off of the 5-star read, I read Tender is the Flesh by Agustina Bazterrica. And of course you might be saying, yeah, of course a book about cannibalism isn't gonna be good. But I think it had all the right concepts and the right ideas. I thought it was an interesting concept of all animals in the world getting diseased or whatever, so that they couldn't be eaten, they couldn't have pets. In this world they turned to farming humans, essentially. I thought all the points this book was trying to make were very on the nose and obvious and in your face. The writing style I didn't think was very good, so something that could have been really cool and thought-provoking really fell flat for me. I gave this book a 2 stars. Only saving grace was that it was like a quick novella. Moving right along, the next book I read was The Guest List. I actually listened to this mostly on audiobook, which I thought the audiobook was really good. So if you haven't read this, you're thinking about it, would recommend the audiobook because it goes through all these different characters' POVs, and there's all these different voice actors. They all got these Irish accents. I love it. This is a mystery taking place on an island before and during a wedding. The timeline switches to during an incident. You don't really know what the incident is, but clearly something has happened, and then it goes back to before and during the wedding. So I think it's really interesting to see those dual timelines. I thought this was a cute little mystery. I thought it was really good. It was my first Lucy Foley book. I've heard great things, and I gotta say, they kind of lived up to the hype. So I gave this a 4 stars. I liked it. And then I read The Deal by Elle Kennedy. People love this book. People love this author, and I get it. It was really cute. It was a hockey romance where the female main character is tutoring the male main character, and then they start fake dating so that she could impress somebody else, and then it really quickly turns into their own friendship and romantic relationship, obviously leading to them finally becoming a couple. I did not love the conflict in this book. I thought the ending was kind of meh for me, but I definitely see where people like it. I gave it a 4 stars, and I'll probably continue the series too. And then I read Not in My Book by Katie Holt. This was another arc I got off of NetGalley, and it publishes December 10th. This was an academic rivals to lovers book. I liked this well enough, but it felt very similar to Beach Read for me, which I had also just read, so it felt a little redundant. Rosie and Aiden are both in grad school for writing. She writes romance and he writes fiction. Sound familiar? Yeah, it's like the exact same plot as Beach Read. And in the beginning of this book, Aiden is an ass to Rosie because he doesn't believe in romance. Eventually, they are forced to co-write a book since they've been fighting in class too much, a romance that ends in tragedy. While co-authoring this book, they become friends, they become lovers. I didn't love the romance. I thought the timing of this book was weird. It was like a fine enough romance, but coming off of reading Beach Read, it kind of fell flat for me. I gave this book 3 stars. Plenty of other reviews seem to really enjoy it. So if you like romance, if you like bookish romances, I'd still suggest this once it comes out in December, but it just wasn't for me. Then I read The Writing Retreat by Julia Bartz. This was her debut novel. It follows our main character who is last minute invited to this super exclusive writing retreat, but very quickly she starts realizing things are strange and things escalate to a point where one of the girls ends up disappearing. It was a nice easy thriller to read. I have really no complaints. It was a little goofy. 4 stars. And then I read The Picture of Dorian Gray, Oscar Wilde's one and only novel. Dorian Gray is a handsome young fella, and when he gets his painting done, he becomes envious of the painting because it will never age, and he will. Dorian Gray then goes on to make some questionable decisions and goes home to find that his painting has altered slightly. Eventually he makes the connection that the painting is growing old while he's staying the same, but the price is his soul. I liked it, so I gave it a 5 stars. Next I read Fantasticland by Mike Bakoven, and I ate this up. What does it say about me that I loved a book about a bunch of violent kids stuck in an amusement park after a hurricane? And that's exactly what this book is. After a huge storm, a couple hundred employees are trapped in Fantasticland and things take a violent turn very early on. I love how the book is written as if an author is writing on this topic, interviewing the people in the park. It is gory, it is thrilling. If you love horror and thrillers, you should read this book. 5 stars. And then I read The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo. Yes, look at this beautiful cover. I've heard mixed things about this, but I've heard amazing things about the author. While this book did start off slow, I think by the end I really enjoyed it. Our main character is a maid, and her mistress finds out that she has magic abilities, and she makes her perform these magic abilities at dinner parties for her guests so that she could increase her social status. She's then entered into a tournament to perform for the king eventually, and things kind of go from there. She finds a love interest, there's betrayal, strong connections. I really liked this. I gave it a 4 stars. And then finally I read Happy Medium by Sarah Adler, and this book was just so cute and darling. Gretchen is a fake medium and she is hired to go exorcise a ghost at Charlie's goat farm. But he doesn't believe a word she says. He knows she's a fraud. But when she gets there, she actually sees the ghost and she has to convince him of this because there's a curse on the farm. This book is so cute. He's a goat farmer. She's helping out on the farm, talking to a ghost. If you are into romance, this is the perfect book for you to read now in October. I gave this book a 4 stars because at the end I feel like it did drag a little bit and the miscommunication trope was there a little bit at the end, but I still loved it nonetheless, and I would highly recommend this book. Those are all the books I read in September. Did you read any good books recently? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, make sure to leave a comment down below, subscribe, and give it a thumbs up. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out, Girl Scout, and goodbye!